Hi, good evening, and welcome to Wellness Arts in the Arts in Wellness, a conversation about how the arts can best impact or help us cope with anxious times through mindfulness, through the process of mindfulness and thinking. This evening, we will have a special presentation by an expert who has been doing this mindful work for many, many years. Her name is Peggy Burt. I'm sure you've seen her name on the ad and so many of the other emails I've sent to you. Miss Burt is she's a teacher, a theater educator, a dance educator, yoga mindfulness teacher. She's a coach, a mentor, and leads the arts community in California, speaking about these very specific topics, which are very timely for our times. She comes to us from her home in California this evening to share with all of us practices that we hope we will learn from and adapt and make our own so that we can be resilient. And so this talk this evening, if you are here this evening, you probably have seen the link where this event comes to us courtesy of the Ivy Charities and the AKA organization. And so they have partnered with the Center for the Visual Performing Arts here at Siouxland High School to help our students be resilient, become more resilient through the arts. Because we think of the Harlem Renaissance as a time when artists who migrated from all over the South, who came to the North, utilized the arts to to express their expression and to grow, but also to be able to put that past behind them, to start to put that past behind them, and to heal from the bondage of slavery. I would say, some would say it's a process that we're still going through today. So without much further ado, I'm going to bring our special guest, Miss Peggy Burt. Welcome, Peggy.
Oh, Maria, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here today and to be coming in from California to spend some time with all of you. I am passionate about mindfulness, and I will tell you a little bit about my story as we get into the slides. So, my talk this evening is called Arts and Well-Being, a Mindful Approach, and I'm sharing my slides with you now. Are we good, Maria?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Thank you all so much. So, the arts have always been a way for us to contribute to our own well being when we are in the best possible light, when we are fulfilling our creativity, following our passion, and being fully ourselves. I often say that I was born a dancer. I had no choice but to be a dancer. And that was really my legacy and my destiny. So the arts wrap us up in this incredible gift. And we try always to stay in gratitude for that gift. But sometimes pursuing our dreams and pursuing our passions can be very, very challenging. And that's where putting well being into the arts with mindfulness has been something that I've really enjoyed practicing myself and teaching my students over these years. So, on our agenda today, I'm going to be talking about, experiencing and embodying mindfulness. So, not just hearing about it, but actually feeling it. And we're going to explore how social emotional learning, which many of you may have heard of, can really directly support young artists as you pursue your dreams and your career path, wherever that may take you. And then we're going to be looking at how these practices really support resilience. So, this is a wonderful quote from Langston Hughes that I like very much. And it's, an artist must be free to choose what he does, certainly, but he must also never be afraid to do what he might choose. So I really like this because it talks about the power of choice. And as we are artists, we cannot let fear stand in our way. We need to continue to lean into choice, even when we feel that fear is in our lives. So I'm going to ask you to please have a piece of plain paper ready for later on. We're going to finish with a little paper folding exercise, a little origami exercise. And along the way, if you'll have a notebook or a journal with a pen or a pencil, to just write down any notes or things that come up for you, questions that you might have, discoveries or insights that you might find. And then I just ask that you keep an open mind and an open heart, because that's how we all learn. So, first of all, I'll ask you, what is your definition of mindfulness? So, think about, maybe you've heard things about mindfulness, you've maybe practiced mindfulness before, but what does it sound like when I say the word mindful? What comes to mind? What resonates in your mind when you hear that word? Keeping in the center of my circle here. Okay. So one of the leaders in mindfulness is named John Kabat-Zinn, and he is in Boston. He is a medical physician, and he's been looking at all of the research behind how mindfulness supports health, longevity, mental, emotional, and physical health. And he defines mindfulness as purposefully and non-judgmentally paying attention to the present moment, as if your life depended on it. And I love this definition because it really calls to mind that mindfulness is not something that we can just do once or dabble in, but that our life, our well being, our longevity, our mental, physical, and emotional health depends on us being mindful, depends on us naming and noting our emotions and our feelings and being able to regulate those feelings, manage our responses rather than being reactive, and really having a sense of wellness so that we can take advantages of the opportunities that are presented to us, that we are fully available and we're open and receptive. So I like the fact that mindfulness gives us a better life. I'm going to do a mindful practice with each one of you called a body scan. And you may have done this before, but this is something that I've learned from my teachers. And I find as a dancer, I felt that I was always in my body. I felt that I knew how my muscles worked and my joints, how I needed to stretch and be flexible, how I needed to be strong. But I was still really dealing with the exterior landscape of my body. And what a body scan does is it takes you to the interior landscape. It takes you to the land of thoughts and feelings and sensations. And rather than labeling things as a pain or a comfort or a discomfort, you just notice. You notice what is there. You don't even try to change it. You just notice. So you go from the outside in. And that's really what mindfulness is it's a journey and an exploration of your inside. A lot of times with the arts, we're dealing with the external, the outside world. We perform, we present, we produce, and that's all wonderful and as it absolutely should be. But the balance and the harmony is balancing our interior with our exterior. Then we can truly be the artist that we're being called to be. So to begin this mindful moment, I'd like to ask you to please put your feet flat on the floor. Sit back in your chair a little bit so you feel well supported, but let your shoulders be relaxed and steady, let your spine be very tall, and let the crown of your head feel like it's being pulled up to the ceiling and beyond it to the sky, maybe there are clouds or stars or a beautiful dark night. Just let yourself feel like you're being lifted to the sky, and then root your feet down into the earth, below the carpet or wood floor, through the foundation, all the way into the earth, just like a tree roots down into the earth. Just begin by noticing your breath. If it's comfortable, close your eyes. If that's not a comfortable space, please feel free to look at this beautiful water image, soothing, cool water. If it's comfortable to close your eyes, just allow your eyelids to soften, allow your cheeks and your jaw to soften. And then notice how your hands have laid on your lap or your knees. Palms down provides additional stability and steadiness. Palms up is a signal for more energy, more lift. So you decide what feels best to you this evening. If it's comfortable to close the mouth, just begin to breathe in the nose and then out of the nose. In mindfulness, we talk about diaphragmatic breathing. So that is belly breathing. And it's really this attempt, when people say to breathe deeply, it means that we get out of the shallow breathing in our lungs, at our heart center, and we breathe all the way down into our belly. When we inhale, the belly slightly inflates like a soft balloon. And when we exhale, we draw the belly towards the spine, just lightly. That will bring on the diaphragmatic breathing. That allows the parasympathetic nervous system to come online and allows us to release any feeling of fight or flight, brings us into a place of rest, digest, peace, and ease. So just allow yourself to feel that sensation of the belly slightly opening and expanding on the inhale and slightly softening on the exhale. To begin the body scan, we'll start at the crown of the head. Just imagine the energy right at the top of the head. Feel your length, your height. Feel yourself reaching up to the stars. And then imagine that your mind is smooth like the surface of a lake, smoothing it out all the way to the edge of the horizon. Clearing the mind, just noticing what is there, and maybe allowing any thoughts to fall into the background. See if you can imagine a beautiful light there. Maybe it's golden light, rose-colored light. Just imagine that feeling of the mind being full of light. All of your worries and your plans can just be tucked away in the background. And in the foreground, you can just feel this smooth sensation. The mind is open and smooth like the surface of a lake. Scanning down to the neck, allowing the breath, the throat, and the neck. With each exhale, allow the neck to soften, to release. And releasing into the shoulders. If it's interesting, you can imagine water, just the right temperature, slowly drawing from the neck to the shoulders, spilling out, softening the shoulders and the chest. So notice any sensations of tightness, but rather than labeling them as good or bad, can you just notice that they're there? Just be present with them. Breathing into the space to create more spaciousness. Feeling into the upper arm, softening elbows, the lower arms and wrists. And then imagine the next 3 exhales can actually flow right out the fingertips. Feeling the inhale in the palms and the exhale through the fingers. And bringing awareness back to the belly, feeling that soft rise and fall. And then to the upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles. Just noticing any sensations of comfort or discomfort. Maybe there's a feeling of energy or a feeling of sluggishness, just noticing. Being present with all that is in your body, inside your body, inside your mind, inside your heart. Let the next 3 breaths flow right out of the tips of the toes. Not forcing or pushing, but just letting them flow. And then letting the breath be like a beautiful soft wave from the tips of the toes to the top of the head, and from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Inhaling, toes to head. Exhaling, head to toes. Just one more time. Inhale, toes to head. Head to toes. Let your hands come flat, pressing onto the heart center. Feeling into this interior landscape that you have just traversed and explored. Notice if there's any shift in the body, the mind, and most especially in the spirit, the essence that is you. Our practice is complete. I hope that was a moment of pausing that felt really nourishing. This is a short poem by Jon Kabat-Zinn. It's called A Taste of Mindfulness. He writes, "Have you ever had the experience of stopping so completely, of being in your body so completely, of being in your life so completely, that what you knew and what you didn't know, that what had been and what was yet to come, and the way things are right now, no longer held even the slightest hint of anxiety or discord? It would be a moment of complete presence, beyond striving, beyond mere acceptance, beyond the desire to escape or fix anything or plunge ahead. A moment of pure being, no longer in time. A moment of pure seeing, pure feeling. A moment in which life simply is. And all that isness grabs you by all your senses, all your memories, by your very genes, by your loves, and welcomes you home." I love that poem. So I wanted to tell you just briefly how I got into this pursuit of mindfulness. I was a dancer from the time I was very young. Like many girls, I started in ballet, and then I moved into jazz and musical theater and modern dance all throughout my life. But I was always looking in the mirror. And for me, looking in the mirror meant looking for other people to validate me, to tell me if something was right, to tell me if I was good enough, to tell me if I was worthwhile. And this can be a trap. This can be a trap, especially for dancers. Many times we have body image issues. We get into distorted thinking about how we look. And we're always looking for the mirror to give us that feedback and that assurance that we're okay. I did quite well all through high school. I became a dance major at a very competitive program at University of Utah. I danced with Ballet West, and I thought everything was going quite well. I had a lot of discipline. I had a lot of determination. I worked very hard. When I didn't get cast in a particular piece, I would ask to be understudy, and oftentimes I would get to perform. So I was really a hard worker, and I always thought if I work hard enough, I will be able to reach my dreams. I'll be able to do whatever I want to do. My possibilities are without limit. That's what I wanted to think. And when I got to New York City, I was one of thousands of artists who had the same dream. And the competition was so intense that I felt crushed. I would go to auditions with 500 other dancers, and people would be elbowing their way to the front. And I was just overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed by the whole situation. And I didn't have the resilience within me when I couldn't see the mirror, when I couldn't get the outside validation. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to look within myself. I didn't know how to find my own resilience within me. I'd never been trained that way. I'd never been taught that I had the power within myself to find my own mirror. And so instead of looking outward to the mirror, this idea of mindfulness and going inside is turning the mirror the other way and truly looking at yourself by looking within and finding out, what do I have to offer? What is my path? What is my destiny? What am I meant to do? What am I meant to be? And maybe it's not what other people think I should do or be. Maybe if I listen to myself and my deep intuition and wisdom, I'll be able to find my way forward. I wished that I'd had someone at that time who would say to me, you can go within and find your own answers. You don't have to look for the answers outside yourself. But no one was there to tell me that, or I wasn't able to receive it at that time. So my hope is that I can share this with you, and so that as a young artist, you will be able to have the benefit of thinking about some practices of resilience for yourself. So mindfulness for well-being is a whole practice that creates a sensation of inner balance. This inner balance promotes emotional stability and clarity. Rather than having big highs and big lows, feeling absolutely excited or absolutely devastated, it finds the middle ground and gives you that sense of balance so that you can have stability and clarity. That's what I was really searching for, the balance. Mindfulness allows you to let go of that constant running commentary that's often very judgmental, your own thoughts of saying that you're not good enough or saying that you're not, you don't have what it takes. All of those thoughts that trap us and lead us into our own thinking of negativity. Then we become very emotionally reactive to our state of mind. When we're able to anchor to the breath or to a sensation or to a visualization, we can find a stability that allows us to face any challenge. Mindfulness allows us to observe what's happening within us in order to observe what's happening around us without judgment, releasing judgment. As soon as we release judgment, we can be in creative problem solving. When we're in judgment, we can't see our way clear. Mindfulness can be practiced with formal or informal methods. Mindfulness is not about removing all of your thoughts. Usually the mindful practice is take one set of thoughts away and replace them with another set of thoughts. Maybe they're thoughts about listening to the breath or listening to a sound or some music. It's taking certain thoughts away and replacing it with an anchor. It's not about control or mastery of the mind, and it's not about doing nothing. It's about creating focus and concentration with ease so that we can be our best self. The most accessible mindful practice is the mindfulness of breath, but we have to be careful not to get into more doing. I like that quote by John Kabat-Zinn because he talks about being and isness, which is to be, or to be in your is, I am, rather than doing and action and distraction. Mindfulness of breath is a way to focus and anchor so that we can be present with whatever is going on. When someone says to you, oh, just take 3 deep breaths, you'll feel better, that's true. But if you enter into those 3 breaths and then find out from your interior landscape, how am I feeling right now? We call that naming and noting our feelings. So rather than just take a breath, which is good, take that next step, which is find out, how do I feel right now? What's making me feel like this if I'm agitated or sad? Do I want to stay with this feeling until I understand it? Or do I want to move to change this feeling? All of that is a practice of mindfulness. It gives you the power to choose your next thought, which gives you the power to choose your next feeling. That is a revelation, really, for some of us. When I first heard one of my teachers say, I am not my thoughts, I am the observer of my thoughts, I was like, what? I always thought I was my thoughts, right? That's me. That's what I'm thinking. I can't get away from that. Well, that's not true at all. We are the observer of our thoughts. We are the observer of our feelings. And that is mindful practice. This one I like very much. So when you stop and take a breath, these next 2 steps are the main thing. So the S in stop is for just stop, just pause, just chill. Take a breath, maybe take 3. And then this is the important part. Observe. Observe, observe, observe. Look within to your own body, your own thoughts. Observe your feelings, your emotions, and your physical sensations. Take the moment to see yourself. Turn the mirror inward. Look within. Observe your body, your thoughts, and your physicality. Only when we know how we're doing, when someone asks you how you're doing and you just say fine, that's a mindless response. It's fine. It's fine. There's no problem with it. But a mindful response is, actually, I'm feeling a bit nervous right now. I'd like to find a space where I can feel clear and feel like I'm well prepared. That's how I'm feeling right now. You know, it takes a minute. It takes maybe 30 seconds, but it allows you to proceed with more awareness. What we're trying to build is self-awareness. The mindfulness of listening is one that I think is a lost art. All of the mindfulness practices come from an ancient tradition. They come from being in community with each other. They come from listening to each other deeply without interrupting, without trying to solve a problem, just holding space and being with another person. The next time you're in a conversation with someone that you love, a family member, a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, a teacher, a fellow student, rather than jumping in, see if you can be in restful listening. Allow them to say their piece. Really focus on them. Look them in the eyes or look at them in a way that is loving and compassionate. And only when they're done speaking do you speak. It sounds simple, but If you observe people in conversation, we're often interrupting each other. We're often making comments that we think are helpful. There's nothing wrong with that. But just trying mindful listening, really listening the next time someone's speaking to you, and you might hear something else. Another practice that is about single tasking rather than multitasking is the mindfulness of eating. Many people, youth and adults, feel that they're being really effective and efficient if they do a bunch of things at once. And I know here we are in 2021 and we love to multitask. But if you put your phone down, if you put your computer away, if you even close a book or close a notebook and just eat, you will have a different experience of your food. And research shows that you will digest your food better, you'll chew your food better, and you'll be more mindful of your body if you're only eating. That allows you to bring all of your senses online. You look at your food, you smell your food, you hold your food in your mouth and understand the texture of the food. You chew the food, and then you swallow. Many mindful practices are about slowing down. And I know we often are eating on the run. We're just shoving something into our mouth. But research shows that if we're mindful at least one meal a day, maybe breakfast before all the day begins, that if we're really mindful with our food, it increases our gratitude. It also increases our gratitude for the people that put the food on our table. That might be our parents or our guardians. That might be the person that picked that food in the field, the person that loaded that food onto a truck, the person that brought the truck to the market and brought the food off the truck and put it on the shelf where you picked it up and you were then able to bring it home. When we reconnect to the food that we're eating and the earth that it came from, we begin to be more grateful and more mindful about everything that we do. Because we have to eat every day. And this is a practice of repetition. So if we can remind ourselves to be mindful when we're eating, we'll figure out that mindfulness can be in lots of other parts of our lives. So social emotional learning is hopefully something you've been hearing about. We're talking about it a lot within education. I work within K-12 education in the state of California. I work inside of school districts and classrooms, inside county offices of education where they're making big changes in the system. We're always talking about having the whole student, the whole child be engaged, not just their mental capacities, which are great to have academic achievement, and for all of you, artistic achievement, and that's all proper, but also to have our mental and emotional processes be part of our learning and part of our growth as human beings. So this is an integral part of education and human development, and it allows us all to apply our knowledge, our skills, and our attitudes so that we can become healthy individuals. We can manage our emotions, we can achieve our goals, we can show and feel empathy for others, and we can have supportive relationships and make responsible decisions. The CASTLE Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning have put these into a wheel that include 5 keys to well-being. And you see the orange ones here are self-awareness and self-management. I've been talking this whole time about self-awareness and self-management. Mindfulness is a direct way in to self-awareness and self-management. Also on this wheel, we see social awareness and relationship skills, how we interact with each other. And finally, responsible decision making, which we hear about in character development in integrity, in ethics. So all of this takes place within our classrooms and our schools, but it also has to be present in our homes and in our communities. And we can be that change by being mindful ourselves. We can create more mindful communities, and that is a huge gift. Under self awareness, there are all of these areas to explore. Identifying your own personal, cultural, and linguistic assets, linking your feelings with your values, having a growth mindset, having a sense of purpose. All of these things are under the umbrella of self awareness. And it's also layers and layers and layers. As you get older, as you grow up, as you have more experiences, these things will begin to feel more and more like your own. Not like someone else is telling you to do it, but that you are choosing to examine your own life, to be with your own emotions, to be with your own identity, to be part of social justice and activating your community so everyone has agency to be their best self. That's what's exciting about it to me. Social awareness is the ability to understand others' perspectives. Everyone has a different lived experience. I can't understand what you've lived through. You can't understand what the person next to you has lived through. But showing concern, expressing gratitude, working into listening, listening, recognizing each other's strengths, being able to be open and present for people that need you, all of that is social awareness. So, how does mindfulness fit into social emotional learning in the arts? My mission right now is to really bring these skills of mindfulness to artists who are pursuing dance, music, theater, visual, media arts, so that they can have a mindful approach to the way that they develop as artists. So, this is an approach from the inside out rather than the outside in, rather than looking for validation on the outside, that you build your sense of self so that you can stand up to challenges in a way that is authentic to you. Mindful dance, mindful music, mindful theater means that you are doing things in a way that's supportive for your own emotional well being. I wanted to introduce you to a tool called the Mood Meter. This was developed by Dr. Mark Brackett. He's at the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. And he developed these 4 sectors of emotional well being: a blue zone, a green zone, a yellow, and a red. You see that there are 2 axes here, and they go out from the center: most pleasant, least pleasant. So at the very edges are the least pleasant, high energy or low energy. So it's these 2 ways to look at it: is energy high and low, pleasantness high or low, right? So I wanted to show you this example because I think it really shows what the mood meter looks like. This is with objects drawn. So in the red zone, this student wrote, "My homework is not finished yet. It represents me feeling worried." That would be a red emotion per se. In the yellow zone, this kitchen table in my home represents my feeling engaged. It's where I do my homework. I'm focused, I'm relaxed, this is all good. That's a yellow zone emotion. Blue zone emotion, this is a picture of my grandma. I thought I was going to be able to visit her, but I'm not. So I'm disappointed. There's sadness there. And in the green zone, the couch represents feeling chill and peaceful. And this is where I read or hang out. That can be a very happy place. But when people are always telling you to be happy, at least for me, that didn't go so well. I couldn't just flip a switch and be happy, right? Sometimes I felt very sad. Sometimes I felt agitated. Sometimes I feel like I'm engaged, but I'm not that energetic. My point is that all emotions are valid. And rather than being told you shouldn't feel like that, you feel like that. And notice that. Name it, notice it, own it. I feel like that. It's not always about a happy place, because sometimes we need to be in an emotion to go through an emotion. So here are some different emotions that are in these 4 sectors. And on this energy scale, you can see my energy is up when I'm anxious or frustrated or jealous. I can pound my feet. I feel, high energy, but not pleasant, right? Over in the yellow zone, when I'm high energy, I'm excited, I'm joyful, I'm proud. I might be dancing. I might be really having a great time. My energy's way up. That's pretty pleasant too. The blue zone can be sad or critical. I might be bored. I might be disappointed. I might also be in a critical mindset where I'm evaluating things, making a judgment of one choice or another. So that means the blue's not bad. I might be lonely. I might be tired. I might be worried. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it is. There's an isness here. On the green zone, that is your calm space. You're caring, you're kind, you're grateful, you're peaceful, you're relaxed. But we can't live in the green zone always. That's not being a human, right? So green zone is calm. We like to be in the green zone. It feels good to be in the green zone. But when you have an entrance from stage right, you better not be calm. You better be in the yellow, right? You better be ready to go with some energy. So it's about managing these sectors and managing these emotions so that we can be responsive. I want to show you some of the benefits of each of these sectors. Like if you're in the red zone and you're expressing your point, maybe you're going to a march or a protest. You are in social justice activism. You are persuading someone. You're debating someone. That is high energy. It might not feel super pleasant when you're making your point and your point of view, but it takes that kind of red zone activation to be an activist, right? Your yellow zone is when you're in your creative flow. You have to have energy to be in your creative writing, making art, choreographing, composing, acting, performing. You can't be too chilled out to remember your lines or what's next in your dance, right? That's yellow zone work. In the blue zone, remember it was critical and evaluative. Maybe you're proofreading, editing something. Maybe you're revising or iterating. Maybe you're striving to understand perspectives. That takes a very fine point of view, clarity, and focus. It's not bad. And then the green zone, reflection, journal writing, mindfulness, building consensus. That's chill, but you can't live there, right? All emotions are valid. So for some high achieving art students, students that are very motivated and dedicated and passionate, like I was about my art, the artistic pursuit can drive competition and aggression, and it can feel like the red zone. For some people, it can be hard. For other people, they're on their best game. They really like it. The mirror or the teacher can make you feel sad, criticized, or self-doubtful. That's blue zone. So if you notice that you're in the blue zone, then you look in within and you say, I need to look at myself. Am I bringing my best? Am I doing my best work? Not so much what's being given to you from the outside, but you need to own that. Is this my best work? That may allow you to go into the yellow or the green zone. If you lack resources to be resilient, as I did when I was younger, self-affirming, steady, especially after rejection from an audition or a competitive environment, it's very difficult to get into the yellow or the green zone. It might throw you in the blue zone and you might stay there. Having practices of resilience is to have a toolbox of skills to cope with that sense of pressure, competition, perfectionism, which is very, very frequent with artists. All of those tools for mindfulness bring you to resilience. This is one way to look at emotions. There was a psychologist, American psychologist named Robert Plutchik, and he said that there are 8 main emotions: joy, opposite of sadness; trust, opposite of disgust; fear, opposite of anger; surprise, opposite of anticipation. All other emotions spring from those. In the center are the most intense emotions: terror, loathing, grief is a very intense form of sadness, vigilance, rage is a very intense form of anger. So this is another method. If you look on a wheel like this and you say, where am I on this wheel? If I'm anxious, is it that I'm in fear, or am I in anticipation? If I'm sad, am I in grief, or am I just not prepared, so I was surprised? You know, being able to figure out what am I feeling right now takes a lifetime. But this is one of the tools. This is a poem that I love, and it talks about on the inside and on the outside. It goes like this: I imagine that I wear a mask. On the outside of the mask, my expression is. So you might be putting on a happy face. People think I'm doing okay. Most of the time, I show the world things are good. On the inside of the mask is my true self. On the inside of the mask, my expression is maybe self-doubt. I feel that I maybe sometimes don't measure up. Most of the time inside, I'm okay. But when I take off the mask, I realize who I truly am. When I take off that mask of the external and I look within, then I can figure out who I am meant to be. Take just a moment and look at this poem for yourself. Think about what the world sees on the outside and what you see on the inside. Finding a mindful balance is moving toward the inside and the outside matching. Making a choice about what you want the inside and the outside to be. That is harmony and that is balance. So I'm going to talk about dance because that's my art form, but you can think about this in any of the art forms or any of the disciplines that are pursued. In a traditional dance class, the way I was trained was teacher-led instruction for development and mastery of technique. Nothing mattered but get the step right, or get the alignment right, or get your leg up, or jump a little higher. And we did a warm-up, we did center, we did across the floor, and then we would do a combination, or if we were rehearsing, we would work on a dance. And it was very, very much about mastery of technique. If we were having a bad day or our emotions were showing, our teachers usually said, leave it at the door, get over it. Let's focus and be in our discipline. And there is absolutely a place for that. There is absolutely a place for that because we want to hold ourselves to a high standard in our technique. But the balance would come from, what would it look like if we were able to have a more mindful experience of our art form? When you enter, maybe just take a few moments of breathing before you start, before you warm up. Allow yourself to just be with your body, how you feel, how you sense, how you experience. Maybe you write a note in your journal. Notice how you feel. By actually writing it down, that allows you to keep a record of how you feel and if your feelings are changing. Maybe there could be collaborative warm up where people have an option to say, how about if we do this today? Or maybe one of the students lead. Maybe there's some improvisation as well as learning technique. Even in ballet class, wouldn't it be amazing to have improv in ballet? I never did. Note your response to others. So when you're performing, rather than just, if one group goes, really notice what the other people are doing. Maybe even write that in a journal. Share appreciations that are unique to the performance. Maybe when you check out, take a look. Do I feel the same way I felt when I walked in the door? And then maybe a moment of integration at the end for breath, for gratitude. What did I do well today? What do I need to work on? What do I want to do to be my best self? So it's creating a more intentional approach to noticing how you feel, as well as how your body feels, your muscles, your stretch, your flexibility, whether you're warm, whether you're cold. All of those things are important. This is your interior landscape, getting in touch with what is going on within you. So we're in a difficult time as we come out of COVID, and emergency room visits for adult suicide attempts soared this past summer and winter because of the isolation, especially among girls in connection to COVID-19 and the isolation of being away from peers, away from teachers, away from our routine. In 2020, there was a 22.3% spike in ER trips for potential suicides. All of these factors around COVID, with physical distancing and lack of connectedness, barriers to mental health treatment, increases in substance use, anxiety about family health and economics, they all got exaggerated during the pandemic. And you may think, oh, I'm not that bad. I'm okay. But if we look around to our peers and we see that people need help with their emotional well-being, we could be helping them cope, helping them find tools and resources that will allow them to be resilient so that they never get to that point where they would want to take their own life, what we call a permanent solution to hopefully a temporary state of mind. So when we start to really own our own well-being, we can take care of ourselves, and then we can look towards others. Who needs our help? How can I be present through listening and through compassion for that other person? Ways that artists can use their toolkit to explore their emotional well-being: writing, creating poetry, journaling, writing a monologue, dialogue. When you go into dance and music, writing a dance, creating a poem and then having a dance that goes with it. Improv, moving in silence, pantomime. Improv with music, different kind of music than you're used to listening to. Improv and vocal music with humming, soundscapes, taking the technique away in a sense and getting to the essence of sound and movement. Improv, creativity, which was everything about the Harlem Renaissance. It was improvisation and creativity, all of it to find that healing for the space within. So I'm going to show you how to do an origami bird of resilience in our last couple of minutes together. And I would like for you to just find a regular piece of paper. And if you don't have time to do this, you can just follow along, but a regular piece of paper, and then you're going to fold it down to create a square piece of paper. And you can either cut it or you can tear it. Okay, so this is it. Starting with step one, you're going to start with a square piece of paper. So you either create that square piece of paper, or maybe you have a beautiful square piece of paper somewhere. And then you fold it into a triangle like this. Go ahead and open the paper up and just write a few words about how you're feeling right now. And these can be words that are positive. They can be words that are challenges. Just write on the inside and then close it back up again. So this is going to be a reflection of your interior landscape, what you're feeling inside of you right now. When you've written a few words inside, just go ahead and fold it down like a triangle going downwards. Next, we're going to fold the part of the top down so the edge is about halfway. And that is going to be the wings for your bird. So you want to have kind of a section there. Then you're going to turn the paper over. You can do this with a big paper. You can do it with a small paper. Just kind of gives you something to work with. You're going to take the bottom corner and you're going to fold it up. Then you're going to fold it in half, close it in. It's going to look a little bit like an airplane. Now you're going to fold that same flap back to make one of the wings. And then fold the other side. Then the last step, after you fold the other wing back, is you take the head and you like push the center in of the head and you flatten it. And that's called a reverse fold. And then you end up with this beautiful bird. On the inside are your thoughts and feelings. And on the outside is your bird that can soar without limits. So after we're done, you can take a moment to think about or write about what's inside, what's outside. When you note and name your feelings that you're holding within, does that give you an idea about integrating your internal feelings with your outside external actions? What do you notice when you think about the fact that I am not my thoughts? I can change and reach for the next best thought. I can change and reach for the next best feeling, or I can stay in a feeling until I understand it better. So I wanted to end with Langston Hughes, one of the heroes of the Harlem Renaissance, again, bookending this. And he said, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow." Thinking about your bird, your dreams, holding your dreams within that and letting your wings fly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that sounded so great. Was that a clapping track, or were those real human beings?
I'm sure they were clapping for real, but they're not mics, so they wouldn't be able to hear. You wouldn't be able to hear them. So I projected what I think I'm hearing in the chat.
I love it. I loved it. It was fantastic, Maria. Thank you.
Peggy, I know you have to go because you have to go teach a yoga class, but I wondered if students...
I have a few minutes.
Oh, good. I wondered if you could take a few questions from some of our students. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you can help me see the chat so that I make sure I'm seeing it.
I'm going to bring them here. Can you go back to the Langston Hughes slide, the one with the about dreams?
Yes.
The poem? I really love that. It was beautiful.
Don't you love that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to go back to share.
And I'm going to bring in Zakia. Zakia, call back, please. Okay. And I'm going to bring in Hope. So let me see if we do this right. Hope, can you come into the camera?
Hi.
Hi,
Oh, it's
Hope.
so good to see your face.
Oh, here we go.
Hi.
Hi, Hope.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
So good. I know, Miss Aldana, did you have a couple questions that you were going to ask Hope? I think you had them ready.
Actually, yes, but I also wanted to see if Hope had any questions before I just bombarded her with questions.
Please.
You're, are you
Not right
muted?
now.
Not right now. Okay, so let me ask you. I'll ask you a question.
Not right.
You had an opportunity to hear what Miss Bird shared. Yes. It's a complete coincidence that you're both dance majors,
Yes.
by the way. This was not planned. And I believe Miss Fiordemando, if you're in the chat, and also Miss Fiordemando is a ballet teacher. And I
Yay.
believe she's here. Miss Fiordemando, if you can call in, because I would like to also include you in this conversation. Hope, what did you hear this evening? Let me see if I can comment here. Ooh, that's not what I meant to do at all. What did you hear this evening that could maybe help young artists such as yourself be better artists? In your case, a better dancer.
Um,
Let
I
me
would
rephrase that. I
say
don't mean
like
better
the
dancer.
journaling and the finding the.
Let me rephrase that. I don't mean better dancer, but feel better about your practice as a dancer. Let me say that.
Okay, well then we're going to take a different direction.
Okay.
I believe for me as an artist, we are human first before we're artists. And in this time, we've been struggling a lot, and I feel that we need the space to a, a space or like time to be able to connect with our humanity because our humanity is what produces art. And like I can share from my experience, like going class to class, like coming back into school, all this. Oh, my name. um, Coming back into school and having to adapt, but it's not. It's like it's overwhelming because I have to process it every day, and I just have to come back and just do it over again, do it over again. And I think that in our art classes, we need more of a space to be human, and not try to produce from from a artificial places, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of
Um,
sense. Yeah.
because we can keep on going,
Yeah.
we can get the step, but what is it but behind it if we're not okay?
Yeah.
And if you're not okay, that's okay too.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I
Wow.
couldn't have said
What a
that better
beautiful
myself.
statement. Yeah.
We were having this conversation earlier, Peggy, and I was saying to Hope, like we had just finished talking, and I had the idea, it's like, maybe we should invite some students to be part of this conversation. And I mean, we have so many amazing young people. Hope is obviously here representing the wealth of her classmates in the awesome class of 2022, but that's neither here nor there. But as I was getting up from my chair of having spoken to you, this young lady walked by and wearing this same shirt. Hope, show your shirt. We can't see it. We can't really see it. There we
I
go. Wait,
love
to your
it.
left, to the other side. There we go. And I thought, oh, I think that's a sign. And so I asked Hope to join our conversation. I'm also going to bring in Hope's teacher, who is also a dance teacher, and I did not plan this. It just kind of happened this way, and
Dancers.
and I think
Dancers.
it's. I know I'm gonna catch some flack from the other majors because they always say. And so, without this is Miss Fiordemando. Miss Fiordemando, bring you to the conversation as an educator. What did you hear this evening that you think can help improve our practice as educators and maybe help us get our students and ourselves really through this challenging time of COVID?
Well, let me first by saying that Hope, I love what you just said. It is okay not to be okay, and I absolutely love that. Um, I think it's so important for us as educators to realize that our students are people too, with feelings and emotions, um, and to support them. Um, as an educator, I always look at my students, and with the mask, it's harder to
Yeah.
see what's going on
Yeah.
because half of their face is hidden under the mask. Um, so by asking our students, how are you today? Or giving them the opportunity to journal, to reflect on how they're feeling, how they're doing is so essential to themselves. Um, for to be in touch with who they are as dancers, as people, as students. So I really love the journaling aspect of that.
Yeah.
Um, and
Excellent.
I think that as an educator, I can help my students by helping them to be their own teacher. I say this to them all the time. There's going to be a point where I'm not going to be there with you in the room, and you need to be able to feel where you are in space, how you're feeling in space, um,
Yeah.
and being able to inspire yourself, especially with COVID when we were looking at cameras. My students were, I'm going to give a shout out. Our CVPA kids were amazing. They were their own champions. They were um, really motivating themselves to work in these really unusual circumstances and just shine and grow. So, as an educator, I just want to be there to help my students and guide them to be the most amazing people that they already are.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Ah, that was great.
I know there's a lot of, Brady Bunch here. I know there's, I don't want to keep you because I know you have to go and there's so much that we want to say, but I want to say, as I was sitting here listening to both Hope and Mr. Demando and you have this conversation, I was getting a little misty eyed because I remember sitting in a conference where you gave this presentation a year ago and thinking,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I know the teachers and even students were probably sick of me because I was like, you have got to see this. This is so amazing. You have got to see this. And so to finally have had the opportunity to bring this to us, thank you for being resilient in that process and taking on the vendor challenging process as well. So that we can maybe have more of this in the future because our students really do need it. We need more of that stop, the acronym
Yeah.
of just stop and think about what we're doing and figuring out how to proceed with, as you said, compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Maria, thank you so much for your leadership and your vision and holding this vision for a year. I think it's needed now more than ever. So I'm very, very grateful
You
to be
know,
with you and that I get to be with the students tomorrow as well.
Yes, I have to say, we can have vision, but without support, nothing goes because we first started having this conversation about you becoming a vendor, and that process is still ongoing a year later. But the Ivy Community Charities, I share with them what you had to share. They didn't see anything that you had to, but I explained what you do, and they said absolutely. The Alpha Kappa, Alpha Sorority, specifically the Iota Gamma Omega chapter in Prince George's County, they said, make it happen. We'll pay it. We'll pay for it. We figure it out. So I
It's
just want to
so
give,
great to have your support.
yes, I just want to give them a shout out because this is really an important, I keep saying it, but it's an important time in all of our lives. And depending on how many times we've been around the sun, it doesn't matter because we all have the same brain. And, we
Exactly.
all sometimes can believe our own negative thoughts and, self-destructive thoughts.
Absolutely.
So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
There was
Yes.
another young lady, but I don't see her. So I'll see if I can catch up with her later. I know you have to go teach your class. I'm going to keep the conversation going, but because
Great.
I want to also hear from some of the parents who are in the chat,
Perfect.
and maybe we can continue this conversation. But Peggy, thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed. I'll see you
so,
tomorrow.
so we'll get to do this in a much more intimate setting with our almost 400 people.
Thank you so much. Be
Thank
well,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye. So, ooh, I don't know what's
There's
happening
something
here.
happening tomorrow.
Yes. So tomorrow in each of your classes, you're going to have an opportunity to do this in a much more didactic way for young people. Didactic is more
Mm-hmm.
hands-on, more specific to the majors. This is more of a general introduction to mindfulness, but tomorrow we're going to delve a little bit deeper into specifically what happens in your majors, to engage in like this breath
Wow.
work, this mindfulness practice, and also she was talking about Castle, Miss Burt, and I had a meeting with Thrively, so it's like it's weird how timing things that line up, because had a meeting with the creators of Thrively last week, and they mentioned that they are now supporting or offering Castle. So now we have access to everything that Miss Bird just said about that. We now have access to it, so our students can do that work through Thrively. One of the other things that they've included as part of that is a Wellness Wednesday. And I won't get too detailed into that, but it's basically every Wednesday we'll have an opportunity, maybe during fifth period or throughout the day, have an opportunity for students to check in a very unintimidating way, to say, I'm doing well, I'm not doing well, I could use some help, so that no one can go, 2-3 weeks, feeling in the red zone, as she was saying, without nobody knowing that they're in the red zone. And they would tell us, like, this person needs help. So we want
Yeah,
we want to make sure everyone's okay.
yeah, and being, I feel like it will bring the community of the CPA like together more
I hope
as
so. I hope
well.
so.
Yeah.
Pa- Parents and those of you in the chat, do you guys have any questions? I love some of these comments. I'm going to bring them up. See if I can bring them up to the chat. Let me see. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I don't know how to. I used to be able to do this. Oh, I know what it is. I need to do. Miss Ferdinando, what do you see as the challenge? I mean, opportunities and challenge from an educator perspective, because this is one of those things that can be like, well, how does this fit into your grades or your work or the work that you're there to do, right? So it can get a little bit. How does it fit? What do you think?
Well, I mean, as dancers, we have to be aware of ourselves, how our body is feeling. Um, so being present and being able to express yourself through dance and movement is part of our art form. So to me, being able to express yourself and be in tune with your sense of well-being, your body, how you're feeling is all part of our dance. Grading wise, I would just say it's participation. You're participating. Um, we do have days where we take some time to sit down and we touch base with each other, and that's all part of our daily participation grade.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, as dancers, it's so important that we are able to emote. We are able to be in touch with ourselves, and also not just for injury. Being able to say, "Oh my gosh, my ankle's sore," or this, but emotionally being able to say, "Well, this is how I'm feeling today, and I need to speak to someone, or I need to be able to dance it out or express myself in a way that's healthy."
Yes. I really also see an opportunity with the way that Ms. Bird introduced diving into it, which is like that preparedness of walking into the space, thinking, how do I feel today? Because as Hope said, the humanness of us is what helps us make art. So if we're not connected with that
Yeah.
humanness, or our humanities, really, if we're not connected to our humanity or how we're feeling as a human, then we're less likely to make true art that resonates with someone else, who may not be going through those things. Yes, Hope.
Another word for it is authentic.
Yes, very good. You're absolutely right. Authentic. A guest in the audience. I love some of these reactions. Let me see if I can bring it on. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Yes. Thank you, Miss Griffin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Miss Seaforth, I love this reaction. I'm sure it's out of sequence, but I just want to bring it onto the screen to make sure that we capture it. Miss Marcel, would you like to join the discussion? If so, please email me so that I can send you the link, or I can just send you the link. Just say so in the comments and I'll bring you up. Okay, so for tomorrow's discussion, Hope, we're going to need some leaders and any other students who may be in the audience, maybe in the chat. We're going to need leaders to guide this discussion because, as you could tell, this is thoughtful, serious, important, but serious work that requires that we stop, right? That we take a breath, that we listen. And so with our excitement and enjoy and the joy that we have for the arts, sometimes we can overshadow the thinking moments in lieu of, keeping that exciting moment, of keeping it fun. So so students, we will need leaders tomorrow. I don't see anybody else making comments or asking questions. So I'm going to close this out, and I'm just going to have kind of like music in the background, but I'll be on for the next 10 minutes to address any questions people may have. And also, if you haven't already, I placed a link about the Harlem Renaissance Resilience Project, and I'm going to bring this on here. It is this here. Let's see, secondary display. Oh, look how that worked out. This tonight, our speaker, as you know, was Miss Burt. I linked it in the chat so that you can, I didn't want to read her entire bio to you, but I want you to be aware that she is someone who is very knowledgeable and very well respected in her field. As we discussed during the conversation, she was the person who presented mindfulness at the Art School Network conference last year. And that is a conference of all of the art schools in the country. And that was like that. I think we were all in need of that. The next speaker the next experience we're going to have is a talk and a workshop by Tanya Hamilton. I've linked her IMDb on there so that you can see that will be on December 7th, so that you can see the number. Actually, we're revisiting that because she also wants to do a workshop and she actually wants to come visit in person. So I will share the new date if it changes. But this is not just for students who are interested in film or media. This is for any student who is a person interested in entering a field that they are underrepresented in, because she's going to be speaking about that. This is also for people who may be interested in filmmaking but are not currently filmmakers themselves. So I won't belabor the point of all the things that she's done, but if you click on her IMDb, you will see that she's done like 50 different, probably maybe some of them your favorite shows. She's done like Queen Sugar, The Killing. She's done a lot of things on HBO and FX. And so anytime, it's important to know that every time we watch a TV show, that there is like a person that was calling the shots behind the scenes. And so in this case, a lot of the time was for the videos that you will see on the IMDb. It is Ms. Hamilton. She is a filmmaker, she's a producer, and she's a writer. So if you're interested in those fields, come back and join us. I will send out, like before, I will send out an email with the links, and you'll be able to join us. As time goes on, we're going to be adding a few more speakers. And sometime in January, we had to move Miss Martha High's talk and performance to January. So that's going to be mid-January. We're still working on the date. Oh, actually, we're still working on the date. But she is going to have a performance in Bethesda in the end of this month, like November 22nd or so. when I get that information, I will send it to you in case you guys would like to support and go see her. She is a wonderful, lively act and a worth of experience. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. I want to thank you once again for being with us this evening. And if you have any questions about this process, or if you have any comments you would like me to send forward to Miss Burt, please email me or put it in the chat. She'll see you there as well. And someone asked a question about tomorrow. Let me see if I can get that. Oops, that's not what I meant to show. So for tomorrow, someone had the question of, let's see. So low. No, she would not be in person tomorrow. Who asked that? Miss Rogers. Let's see. No, she's still in California. She's is going to be through Zoom. You're going to be in Zoom class with her, or something like that. Thank you, Miss Fiordemando. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And obviously Hope as well. Guys, this concludes our broadcast. I'll see you tomorrow.